It is time for me to come back to making these kinds of commentary videos. Anyways, just like the title says, it's about my impressions with the third update for SnapMap, but I will also talk about campaign and multiplayer updates too. So, campaign, I'm only around 3 levels in, but arcade mode is kind of fun. I do enjoy how it does play differently than the campaign, but I don't really see myself playing it that much compared to the normal way. I've never been a fan of score attacks, and while it is an alternative way to play the campaign, just like how back in the classic Doom days there was pistol starting, but I'd rather have a pistol start in Doom 2016 than a score attack. But I will try to beat it and probably try to find the collectibles and stuff in the future. For the multiplayer, I have not touched it at all. So I have no experience on the new modes so far, and I don't know if they're really for me from what I've looked up. I also heard they finally allow people with DLC to be able to play the DLC maps in the regular playlist. If that is the case, that is awesome. Thumbs up to id Software if they really did that, because I would like to play some multiplayer, because I do bump into a lot of people with the DLC because of the harvester or those annoying mine things they use. So I gotta try out some of those new maps because they do look fun and cool. So that's out of the way, let's talk about SnapMap, which this update is huge, like the last one, probably bigger I think. Well, I will say this, I am pleased with the update, but I feel like the last update was better. I'll talk about the positives so far, and then I'll talk about my disappointments or negatives of the new update. I really love how we finally have textures on the player blocking volumes, and they're not called that anymore, they're just blocking boxes, and it's so nice. It's much more versatile than ever. The texture option is mind-blowing. Holy crap, they added a lot of textures. It's mostly classic Doom textures, but the modern ones aren't too limited. And what's great is you can use classic Doom textures for your 3D maps. It's not just for your retro themed maps, because if you play around with the color option, it can really change some of these textures to making it more 3D friendly, if that makes sense. With these new textures, there's definitely more possibilities to create maps and to experiment. I also enjoyed the new props, and holy crap, we got so many new props for the tech-based themed maps, and I can't wait to play around with those in the future. The new help props are nice for decoration purposes, but I did feel like it was mostly disappointing, and I'll talk about that later on. The block demon option is a huge plus. I always hated barricading my player blocking volumes, so it's nice that is no longer the case, that I, have to worry. At first, I wasn't too fond of the new SnapMap hub, but I really love it. It shows off how powerful SnapMap is when you have all these different categories to choose from. This gives a great first impression to people who aren't familiar with the capabilities of SnapMap. I love this recommendation system. It's definitely gonna help people with their maps getting publicity. At first, I thought both id Software and Escalation Studios were in charge of this system like before, but I love how it's the players that are in charge of this by their ratings. So we're always going to have new maps being updated for people to play or check what's buzzing right now. I think the SnapMap feedback thing, like the thing where you can see who played your map and what they rated as, is also a nice feature. I definitely love checking that thing to see if people are enjoying my maps or not. It's such a small additional feature, but man, I always love checking for updates after mapping or playing maps. I believe that's all the good things I can say about this update. Now, here's my disappointments, or just things I didn't really like. I absolutely don't get why they added retro themed modules. I still believe SnapMap is pretty much releasing campaign themed modules, because SnapMap now has tech-based, hell, and retro themed modules, and these these themes were in the campaign. However, I feel like the retro element of the campaign is more of an Easter egg type of thing. It's just like an additional bonus, but it's not the quote-unquote main content. I don't consider the Easter egg levels in the campaign as official levels like Lazarus Labs. It's also disappointing that a decent amount of these modules are basically remakes of E1 M1 to E1 M3. That just feels awkward, and I don't get that. Like, why did they thought it was a good idea because we already have these levels in the campaign, and it just doesn't feel quote-unquote distinct enough compared to the other retro modules, where those are actually not reused from the classic games and built from the ground up. I also don't understand why when I'm hosting a map they force me to search a game of this map. Why can't I have the option to choose both like the previous version of SnapMap? The new hell props are all great for decoration purposes, and there's really no new props for actual building a map. I would have loved to have more walls, stones, blocks, or something that allow players to get crafty with building a layout of the map, and they have to look different than all of those stuff that I mentioned, because we already have all of that for the hell props, but I would love to have like a more distinct look, if you get what I mean. I think that's really all I gotta say. I was mostly disappointed with the overall retro module update, but who knows, I could end up making some of them in the future if there are any interests, but I think I'm most likely going to stick with the 3D maps. I got 2 maps that I have ideas for, but I'm going to focus on one and then work on the other one when I'm done with the one I'm working on. It's either an original map or a remake, and I'm doing a remake right now. I'm remaking a Doom 2 map. It's not really my favorite Doom 2 map, but I personally think it's one of the funnest ones. And that's really all I gotta say. I'm not going to tell you guys right off the bat. And that's what I pretty much have plans on doing. I've recently updated my Hell's Gymnasium map, and it looks so much prettier with the new textures. Like, it's night and day in how much better it looks than how it used to look. And that's really all I gotta say. Thank you for watching the video, and stay tuned for more, guys.